myself, what a wonderful world.
Hello and happy February new moon. On February 11th, it's the new moon of the month. And as I promised from the beginning of the year, that I really wanted to offer some insight into just living our best lives throughout the year. I do a last 60, best 60, and I just decided that this year, instead of waiting till the end of the year to just really offer some insights and just some thoughts on what we can be doing throughout the year to live our best lives. I thought I'd offer it every new moon and full moon. So today is the new moon, and if you're somewhere where you can see the moon, so in Chicago it's cloudy today, snowy, and it's very, very cold, you may not see the sky, and that's actually what a new moon sky looks like. It's a dark sky. It means there's no light from the sun, because the way that the earth and the sun and the moon are aligned, there's no light. And so when you think about the new moon and all that it means, think about it like a blank slate and like a blank canvas, like a freshly fallen snow, like there's no imprint, but it doesn't mean that it's empty, because the moon is actually there and the light will show up, because in the next few days the moon will start to appear, first as a crescent and then waxing to a full moon. So just kind of notice that, like everyone will say, well, the new moon is when you set intentions and you plant seeds, and but we may not actually plant seeds. So I just want you to think of other ways of thinking about it, like a new journal, like that feeling when you get something new and it's like there's so much potential. There's a feeling like everyone wants to wear something new for something special. It's that kind of new energy, and there's just a lot of hope and possibility. And the thing about following the moon, as opposed to like our calendar where there's only one New Year's Day, we have several new moons throughout the year. And so that really gives us an opportunity to start fresh and have that feeling throughout the year of newness and possibility and hope. And so that's really a nice shift from like, oh my God, I didn't keep my resolutions from January 1st. Well, with this different rhythm and way of living our year, it really gives us an opportunity every month to just refresh and reconnect, and also just appreciate that we're always evolving. There's nothing special about January 1st except it's January 1st. It's really like how can we throughout the year keep renewing and reconnecting and recommitting to ourselves on these new moons. So anyways, there's a lot of hope and potential and possibility. So do spend some time to think about, like, what are you up to? When we say like set an intention, it's not just about a resolution or I want to get something done. It's really like, is that the direction I want to be headed in, right? So like if you put something in your GPS, like I went out to Wheaton today, like you kind of trust when you go out the door, or when you set your GPS in your car, that it's going to get you there. But throughout the trip, you're constantly checking, or at least glancing, to make sure you're on the right road, or listening to the directions to make sure you made the right turn. And on these advanced GPS devices, if you make the wrong turn, it'll recalculate or recalibrate so you're back on the right road. And that's what we need to do throughout the year, is reconnecting to, is this the direction I want to go in? Because if it's not, it's a good idea to make the right turns and corrective turns, or just renewed sense of where you want to go. So that's one of the reasons why the moon cycles is a lot more kind of nourishing, kind of forgiving, a lot more human, and a lot more realistic than if we're just like, resolutions are just for the beginning of the year. So, like, think about that. Give yourself some time in the next couple of days to just recommit to where you're headed and what that intention is. This month, so every month I'm going to choose a different area of life, because in my last 60, I always focus on the wheel of life at some point. I usually begin with that. And there's 12 areas in the wheel of life that we look at, and I wanted to focus on one each month this year, since there's 12 months and 12 new moons and 12 full moons. So this month I'd love to suggest that we look at our mission, which is an actual area in our life that might seem or sound really big, and perhaps it is, but for some of us it might be so obvious and so in the air that we don't even notice it. We haven't even named it, but we're so all about it. And if you asked anyone around us, they're like, oh yeah, she is so into that. And that's what we want to get in touch with when we think about our mission. And it's not a job, and that's the other thing that I think that is very interesting, and I hope that you get to distinguish that a mission is not a job. It is not someone else's mission. It is your mission, is my mission, to be in touch with and to really set my GPS, set my direction, set my actions and my habits towards making that happen. And again, it may sound like, well, what's your mission? When you identify what that is, it feels so satisfying. So one of the ways I suggest us doing that is to take a look inward. In yoga, we call that svadhyaya, and it's one of the niyamas, which is one of the 8 limbs of yoga, which is one of the 8 ways that we can live out yoga, which asana is only one of them. So svadhyaya and this self-knowledge, self-inquiry, self-knowing is this actual practice that people do, that we're encouraged to do as people, as humans, to really know ourselves. Because when we know ourselves, we are much more masterful with how we're living, right? We know what our soft spots are. We know what our triggers are. We know what we're strong at. We know what we're really good at. And knowing that is like being able to fly a plane, right? So if you don't know how to fly a plane, you can't fly a plane. But you figure out, what does this style mean? What does that do? What does this do? And then you can get from, California to New York or Africa, anywhere. Like, you have this tool that gets you somewhere. So that self-knowledge and knowing yourself can get you far. And what I would suggest that we do is to not do it alone. So one of the things that we try to do, and this is just human, is we just like try to read a book or we journal and we try to do it alone. And what we don't always feel comfortable doing, because I think that our society hasn't really figured out how to do this in the most generous and graceful way, is to do it in community. And so one of the ways that I think might be interesting, and I've been doing this in the last few weeks working with my coach, is to do some genius interviews. And it sounds so weird and funny to be like, so what do you think I'm genius at? And it's not just that. One, have 5 questions to ask. And I had my 5 questions. I actually tweaked them a little to make it sound more me. And it's not like you're just trying to milk for compliments, because if you're asking the right questions, it's really a curiosity and asking for insight and asking for people who know you and who work with you or who live with you or who've gone through projects with you, to actually reflect back to you, when do you shine? When do you light up? What topics do you light up about? And just talk on and on and on about. Like, that's your genius, and that's what your mission is probably about. So getting that insight is super, super helpful. And I would just suggest, ask about 5 people, and of course, thank them and let them know that you're going to reflect on the information, and then do reflect on it. Maybe give yourself the next month, and then reflect back with them what you got out of it. And it may not be easy, so live with courage. And if you need help, reach out to me, or reach out to a coach, or reach out to someone in human resources, because we're trying to kind of figure out what we're good at, like what would be a good match in terms of not just a job, but really like a mission. And having a mission is so different than having a job. Like, part of my mission is really to help people live their best lives. And I've been doing that through yoga. And every day, like, I'm not just yelling out yoga poses. Like, I teach so that people are feeling the possibility of being bigger and greater and more actively alive in their selves as possible. But my intention for teaching yoga is not just this is what Warrior 2 is. It's really to help people to like feel strong, stable, expansive in their lives, not just on the mat, but especially off the mat. So that's part of my mission. And I'm still figuring out what is the next step, what's the next manifestation of my mission. So it's actually kind of an evolving mission. But when you know it, it will feel like a calling. It will feel like, yes, that's what I do. It totally matches who I've been. It's not like something new. It's something that you've always been, but it sort of names what you are about. And then it's something that you truly, truly want to do. Like, whether you have a job around it or not, you will build your life making this happen. So again, think about what mission is for you, and don't wait till the end of the year for my last 60. But think about, like, what is it? Where are you headed in terms of your life? Because when you look back at your year, at your month, at your quarter, at your life, you want to feel like you were up to something. So happy new moon, and happy February for anyone celebrating Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day this Sunday. And if you're in a situation where you're caring for or with parents who are aging, I'm offering this group called A Tender Place to Land, because I am in that situation, and it's hard work on the soul, to tell you the truth. And so I've needed a tender place to land, and I just thought it would be good to offer that to my community. So if that's you, reach out to me. I'll add you to the list. We meet on the second Thursdays at 6 to 7:30 p.m. and the fourth Tuesdays at, I think it's 7:30 to 9 a.m. And it's just starting. So anyways, be well, live your best life, and really connect to your mission.
And